Oh, finally. Well, Luke. Jesus.
What's up?
He just got the network liners 2 minutes ago. Don't give me a whole lot of time to plug those in, Luke. Blah.
Lemon face. Light it.
Like, from Ted Lasso.
He has a really good evil face. Like, she's going to play someone evil someday. It's going
Oh.
to be really good.
Well, she was the scary Septa in
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Shame.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter, Monday, February 17th. As of today, the average price of a gallon of 2% milk in Wisconsin, $3.18. That's up 8 cents from Friday. The average price of a dozen large eggs here in the state, $5.86. That is the same as it was on Friday, but up considerably from the week before. We have a very busy show coming up for you today. Luann Bird from Bird on a Wire is going to be joining us at 10:33. We're going to be talking about civics and civic engagement and how to get involved in channel if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling despondent. We can put that somewhere.
Yeah.
And make it work. And make it work. Luanna's involved. And she is like Jean, who calls from Eau Claire area. Maybe slightly older ladies, very engaged in what's going on. And I think they're a great example for all of us.
Luann can be referred to as the unstoppable force or the immovable object, one of the two.
Seriously.
She has a lot in common with those.
And she's mentioned in an article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, particularly related to cuts now at the VA, which has a very immediate impact on her and her family.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking to Luann Bird coming up after the 10:30 news. Next hour, first half hour, we're going to talk about the IRS, Elon, and you. And then what are our lawmakers in Wisconsin? What's their priority? What is really important to them as we head into the second Trump administration? What do they want to see get done that's really going to help the average Wisconsinite? Yeah. We'll have details coming up about that next half hour. We will lighten things up in the last half hour of the show. Linda Welsh, the president and CEO of Sharp Literacy, is going to join us, and we're going to talk about a fundraiser they have coming up, Unwrapped Waukesha 2025, some tasty eats involved with that. And then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the Take a Whiff of This edition. If you ever have a thing you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Wanted to start off just with a little reminder. I'm sure you may have noticed this as you walk out the door. It's really stupid cold.
Yeah, like right now, it's 4.
And we're like the warm spot of Wisconsin. Northern Wisconsin, well, Amory this morning was like 25 below.
Dr. Lyerly, where she's at working this morning, she
She's
said it was
in Hibbing.
43 below zero.
Yeah,
with
so
the wind.
nearly all of Wisconsin is under a cold weather advisory today for wind chills as low as 25 below. In the southern counties, including Milwaukee, this advisory runs until 11 this morning. The chilliest winds expected this morning between 6 and 11, with the feels like temperature about 15 to 25 below. So just keep in mind, frostbite happens really quickly.
Yep.
Much more quickly probably than you realize.
Yeah.
So cover up. Wear layers. Don't wear tight things.
Yeah, wear layers. Get some hand warming packets. Just
Get a
stay.
heated vest.
Get a nice warming vest or
It's a
warming
fabulous thing.
jacket.
Yeah.
Just stay warm. It's easy to do. It really is.
And don't forget your pets.
Yes. Oh my
Very,
gosh.
very important, especially with your dogs and stuff like that. Some, Huskies, they live for this weather.
Yeah.
But for a lot of other breeds of dogs, it's just too cold for them, and their pads can actually get frostbite.
Jane, I never really liked the cold, which is odd because my whole life I was called Husky. So, boom. Jokes.
Jokes. We're going to start off. Today is President's Day, by the way. Tomorrow is primary election day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not voted early,
Yeah.
and again, this is one of those races that's not a presidential election. There's not a Senate race on it. This is a primary election. And in a lot of places, this is going to be the only thing on the ballot. And it's for who is going to head the Department of Public Instruction in Wisconsin.
Yes.
This is not necessarily a sexy thing that's going to get a lot of people coming out. Again, it's a primary. There are 3 candidates. This will narrow it down to 2, who will then face off on the April 1st ballot. But I still think it's important that we know what these candidates are talking about when we talk about who's going to head public instruction for our kids across Wisconsin. So we have 3 of them: Jeffrey Wright, Jill Underly, who is the current head, and Brittany Kinzer. So, Calvin, we have a number of clips from these candidates who appeared on WISN's Up Front, I believe, and thank you to them for that. Let's start off with School Superintendent Jeffrey Wright and what he thinks about public education in Wisconsin.
I was curious broadly, why are you in this race?
I'm in this race because education is incredibly important, and we need an effective Department of Public Instruction. And I've heard from principals, superintendents, teachers, and parents that they feel the current DPI is not helping with that. It actually is a dysfunctional relationship.
Does that go directly to the top, to Jill Underly, the state superintendent?
I do think so, because so much of this wasn't the case 3.5 years ago. Like, we've watched the department experience this struggle just in the last 3.5 years.
The numbers about Wisconsin kids is not good.
Yeah.
They're not good. And I don't think anyone, well, at least we're not disputing that. And that changes need to be made.
Yeah.
That's what's up in the air for this, I guess. Now we have another clip. That was Sauk Superintendent Jeff Wright.
Yeah.
Was that first clip? This is Jill Underly, a clip from Jill Underly talking about privatizing schools. And again, she is the current head of the Department of Public Instruction in Wisconsin. Calvin, can you play that clip, please?
What sets you apart from your other 2 candidates?
Thanks for asking. So first of all, I am the #1 public school advocate in the state of Wisconsin as a state superintendent. I've always been an advocate for public education, but what sets me apart right now is that we have to have these conversations about public school finances. We have a real threat when it comes to school privatization and vouchers in the state.
You see it as a threat?
Oh, absolutely. It is a threat.
There's lots of talk about more privatization, more charter schools, more voucher schools, which again is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think about small rural communities in Wisconsin, in many instances, only have one public high school to serve maybe 5 communities.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of private options in those areas. So if we continue to chip away at public schools, what are going to be the options for people who live in those areas?
Well, and on top of that, too, as far as privatization and or access to private schools, there just also has to be an overhaul viewpoint of accountability measures from these schools that receive voucher money. And
Absolutely.
We've talked about it a lot, just even last week, but we're talking about it all the time. Is if this is going to go ahead, which it feels like it's we're being pushed and we can't push back so hard. There needs to be more accountability, which I've talked to public school teachers about in the past. They don't hate the idea so much as they hate the accountability. They don't like the fact that they're not held to the same standard. That's the
You're
problem.
talking about voucher schools.
Voucher versus
and
public
private
school.
schools.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you. If we're going to give our tax dollars to private institutions, I don't understand why they don't have the same reporting requirements. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep.
They're
Exactly.
getting public dollars for this. Does that mean they don't have to be accountable to the public?
I mean, in my opinion, they're getting public school money. There should be like a percentage. Like how what's the percentage you get? And at what point, when do you become a public school then? Because if you were just able to go there because you're getting a lot of money from us and our money outweighs your endowment, then to me, you are a public school. And that might not be the case. Maybe some of these schools get 2 or 3%, but still, there still needs to be an accountability factor to getting this money.
We have the final clip from Brittany Kinzer talking about she is a proponent of school choice and private schools and voucher schools. Here's a clip from Brittany Kinzer, again, appearing on WISN's Upfront.
Are still choosing the traditional public schools, right? Like we have 800,000 kids and only like less than 5% are choosing, schools that are funded by vouchers. So I think that if families want that, then they should be able to do that, right? And then so I guess yes.
Great answer.
Yes, and if people want to send their kids to private schools, they should absolutely be able to do that.
Yeah.
Why they get to use public tax dollars for that, I don't understand.
But I think the problem I have with that answer is whenever you ask a question having to do with this type of topic, and she did it. She said, well, the actual number is, if the number's over 1, it's still my money going to these schools. So if you want this to happen, there needs to be mechanisms in place. And it started almost a shrugging answer like, yeah, I support it. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, she is favored by Republicans. Kinzer is a consultant for privatizing education through vouchers, and she's also the former president of a Milwaukee nonprofit advocating for charter schools. She said she's running because she wants to make sure students who are behind on reading get more one-on-one instruction and tutoring, which I think is great. Yes, that would require, more teachers. More teachers' aides. If they want more one-on-one instruction and tutoring, that kind of intimates to me that we need more bodies.
It also means more and sustainable sources of funding. It can't just be a referendum every
Over and
5
over
or
and
6
over.
years. It's got to be about the DPI, which is a state organization working with the legislature to come up with a sustainable cash flow system of putting money into good projects. And when we have not hiccups, I don't want to say hiccups, we have problems with something like MPS and their financial woes, they need to be taken care of and people need to be dealt with and they need to be fixed and moving forward. But you can't just say, well, we need more one-on-one. Okay, cool. How do we get there?
Well, and how are you going to pay for it?
Yeah.
And who is going to fund that?
Me, you, us.
Well, not necessarily. It all depends upon the very handsome, highly intelligent, I'm taking a new tack, Robin Voss, and whether or not, I thought I'd try flattery.
Try tall next time, too.
Oh, and he's really tall.
Yeah.
I love tall men. It all comes down to Robin Voss and what he wants to fund.
Yeah.
Essentially. Bill, I see you on the line. We will take you on the other side. Stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
A swing man. She can't have. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know what else to do about it. Jane
Good morning, welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text. It is the same number, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. If you're just joining us, we're talking about tomorrow's primary election. Please vote. If you are not registered, if you're not sure if you're registered, if you're not sure where to go, myvote.wi.gov. That's going to have everything you need. All you have to do is type in your address, click enter, and everything is going to come up. In many instances, Calvin, I think you said this too, where you live, this is the only race that's on tomorrow's primary ballot.
Yeah, correct. At least in the village of Eagle in southwest Waukesha County, this is the only thing on the ballot.
That's it.
I got 3 things. I'm looking at my ballot right now, folks. I'm on myvote.wi.gov, and I put my information in. I got 3 things. I got superintendent, school board, and guess what? Referendum.
Oh, another, jeez. But yes, please plan and vote tomorrow.
Yes.
It's important. Out of the 3, 2 will be moving forward. Brittany Kinzer is the candidate favored by Republicans. She is a big fan of voucher schools. We also have Jill Underly, first elected in 2021. She is going for another term, and then Jeffrey Wright, who is a superintendent in Sauk County, I believe. Those are the 3 candidates who want to move forward. If you'd like to join the conversation, 855-752-4842. Bill from Economwalk is on the line. Good morning, Bill. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Say on the school voucher program, I'd like to ask Robin Voss his thoughts on this. I think the private schools should just drop their tax-free status, and then we don't mind supporting them. And then he's going to say, well, we won't allow that. And I said, now, just a minute. You're going to tell the taxpayers what they can do and can't do? I think this is going to take a statewide referendum, Robin. And then let's see if you're really against the taxpayers, because you're going to have to get vocal about it and say, you are going to tell the taxpayers how to spend their money, not the taxpayers with a referendum tell you.
But
what do you guys think?
Bill, I think that's the way Robin Voss has been for a decade. It's Robin's money, and he decides where it goes depending upon what he supports. Voters be damned. I'm sorry, he does not seem to care what the vast majority of Wisconsinites want, including more gun safety measures, red flag laws, universal background checks, and access to safe and legal abortions. The vast majority of Wisconsinites all agree on those things, Bill, and yet Robin Voss refuses to move on any of them.
The reason he doesn't is because he's never faced a big statewide referendum on it.
Well, because there's nothing that we can do that has teeth to it. And that's the other problem, is that Robin Voss likes to talk about having a, quote, representative democracy,
right,
where our votes and our thoughts are represented by our leaders. The problem is, as Jane just said, and I'm going to throw marijuana legalization in there, I'm going to also throw something in there that is actually agreed upon in his party, which is expanding Medicaid for new mothers up to 12 months.
Right.
He's against all of these things, which doesn't really represent the will of the people. And so much so that Governor Evers in his State of the State said he wanted to push an agenda that allowed Wisconsinites to vote on a binding referendum on topics
right,
Robin Voss immediately against that.
Because that takes away his power.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Bill. Really appreciate you listening. Always appreciate you checking in. We do have a text from Eric in Wauwatosa. I would like to ask how our Wisconsin public schools benefit in any way from choice and parochial schools siphoning away billions of dollars from our K-12 system when these schools aren't part of the same system, aren't held to the same standards, and reserve the right to refuse students, which our K-12 public schools cannot do. The straw that breaks the camel's back for me is that my non-religious tax dollars are being used to indoctrinate children with religious beliefs, traditions, and biases. Can someone explain why this is even remotely fair to the rest of us? That's a great point, Eric, and I brought that up to someone well over a year and a half ago when Kristen was still here, and he basically said, well, the Supreme Court said it's okay. The Wisconsin Supreme Court said that you can use public money for religious institutions, and yeah, too bad.
I'll answer it, Eric and Joseph. It's not fair. It doesn't make it fair for our public school kids. It takes away resources. It takes away ability. And this state, I mean, for longer than since Act 10, but since Act 10, I mean, the vitriol, like taking away their collective bargaining rights, taking away, basically decimating their unions down to 1 or 2 functions, but then also on the other side of the coin, saying teachers are moochers and takers and not makers, and making them seem like the biggest bunch of lazy thieves there are. I mean, why would anyone want to be a teacher, period? But I don't understand why anyone would want to be a teacher in Wisconsin.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you are a supporter of private and voucher schools, please explain to me why it's okay they do not have to follow the same standards as our public schools if they're all receiving public money.
Yeah.
That I would be much more in favor of these if they had to follow the same standards. I think a lot of us would be, okay, that's cool.
I personally, I wouldn't be.
But at least it would be a little more fair.
I think that even if there was a broader fair issue on there, to make it more accountable, there'd be ways of snaking around it, because it's always going to favor these schools, because that's what the GOP wants. They want to make these schools the place where kids go, or they don't go to school at all, and they just start working at 9 years old because everybody needs a ditch digger who's got good shoulders at a young age. But the thing too is, you can't come at us with, well, the court said so. No, this is about personal feeling. Why does this sit right with you? And the court's decision is not the answer.
Yeah, aside from that decision, why is this cool? Why is that acceptable? Again, that private schools that get public dollars do not have to follow the same standards as public schools. Please explain to me, like I'm 5, why that's cool, why that's fine, why you have no problem with that. Either way, please go vote tomorrow. myvote.wi.gov, and make a plan now to vote April 1st.
Yes.
That is for the spot on the state Supreme Court. That's a very, very big, important election. And it's going to be bringing in tons and tons and tons of money from outside groups. Isn't that interesting? Stay close. News is next. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hey, Luann, can you hear me all right?
Yeah. I got to start with apologies.
Are you driving right now, Luann?
I'm on my way to the studio. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But
In
I
Racine?
miss, yes.
Oh, we weren't.
I,
We were expecting you to be on the live stream, not the studio.
I know. I didn't. My mind is just discombobulated right now, but I wanted to see the studio anyway. Is that okay?
Turn Jane up,
That was
please.
the problem. Now I'm about probably 6 minutes away or so. So,
Okay, concentrate on getting here, and we will ramp until you get here.
Yeah.
oh, seriously?
Because I don't want.
Otherwise,
Well, I don't
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
I don't want to talk to you while you're driving. That sets a bad precedent.
Oh, I wasn't going to do that. I thought about the possibility, though, I could pull over if you wanted to do the first half, but it would be awful sound. That's all.
Just get here, and we'll be fine. So just concentrate on getting here, and we'll see you in a little bit.
That sounds great. Is there any trick to getting in that I got to know about?
Nope.
There's no one at the front desk.
I'll keep it. Just ring the doorbell. I'll keep an ear out, and I will get you in.
Thank you. I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Like a bird on the wire, like a drum in a midnight choir. I have tried in my way to be free.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and the Board Lord coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just a heads up, the Todd Alba Show follows us from noon to 2 p.m. across the Civic Media radio network. Today, Todd will have a preview of tomorrow's Wisconsin spring primary. Also recap top stories from over the weekend. In hour number 2, this is great. They always do What's Worse, which is a great opportunity for you to just check in and have your opinion heard. Today, it's about Most Annoying Couples Edition. Should be a good one. What's Worth's with Todd Alba from noon to 2 p.m. across the Civic Media Radio Network. We are waiting for Luann Bird to join us from Bird on a Wire. She is in transit and should be here at our studio in just a second. Right before the break, we were talking about tomorrow's primary election between candidates Jill Underly, who is the incumbent, going up against Sauk Prairie Superintendent Jeff Wright and education consultant Brittany Kinzer. Brittany Kinzer, a big proponent of choice schools and voucher schools. And we did have a couple interesting comments on the live stream. Cassandra says, I'll ask my neighbor about this, about why they should be getting public money without having to follow the same standards. I'll ask my neighbor about it. He's the pastor at a church in my town that has a school in it. However, he and his wife are left-leaning. LOL. Tom also texting in on the live stream. My parents sent us to a Catholic school. They also knew that there had to be a sacrifice in order to send them to school by paying extra for it. I also went to a Catholic grade school.
Yep.
You went to a Catholic school
12 years.
that I'm sure my parents had to pay extra for.
Oh, yeah. And I've said before that the high school that I went to in Waukesha, now their yearly tuition is more expensive than UW schools.
It's just mind-blowing.
And just also, I checked out, we got a couple things about the sound on the live stream, checked out. Everything should be good to go now. So.
Good. Glad to hear it. Again, I guess I would have fewer problems. Let me put it that way. I would have fewer problems with tax dollars going to public and private schools if they had to submit to the same standards and the same reporting requirements that public schools do.
Mhm.
But they don't.
No.
And they can refuse any kid they want.
Yes. And you said it before, squaring it. Make it make sense. Talk to us like we're a 5-year-old. No one ever really can. It's just how it is, and it's just amorphous thing that we don't.
Why is it a problem?
Why is it? Why do you have a problem with it? I have a problem with it because millions upon millions of dollars. I'm sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. Millions upon millions of our tax dollars go to pay for these schools, and we get nothing from it.
And we don't have anything to say about it either.
Agreed.
What is that website that you have mentioned in the past?
It's
that actually shows how much we're paying our money, you guys, to fund these private schools.
The Wisconsin Education Network. It's got a table in there that you go and you check out your school district, and it will show exactly how much money is being spent on voucher schools and other programs that are basically supporting the second school system, and you will be shocked.
How much we're talking about.
Because I generally think people just think that the voucher school money just comes out of nowhere for some reason.
No, that's our money.
Yeah, no, it's our money. I'd love to have it back. Tom,
on the live stream, they push this thing that it's choice. It's not choice. It's profit. This is absolutely about profit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because, again, and we've talked about this before, choice schools can accept a student, take all this taxpayer money, and then kick the kid out and keep the money.
Yep. Yes.
That doesn't seem quite fair.
No, it doesn't seem like a right choice for our school, our education, and our children. And you can go ahead and quote Elon Musk or whomever you want all day long saying what they found is waste. They haven't. Those are lies about our schools as well to make you hate the public schools even more than people already do.
Well, since you had to bring him up.
Sorry.
I thought it was interesting, and we're going to talk more about this after the 11 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Elon, you and your taxes, the IRS. But if you've never checked it out yet, I would encourage you to do so. Go to Doge, DOGE.gov.
Yeah,
Go to Doge.gov. So we can check on all the savings that Elon is finding for us by going into agencies and then firing everyone without realizing what they do, and then having to hire them back.
Which we'll talk more about
after the 11 o'clock news. But we have gotten some texters saying, what's wrong with you? What's your problem with finding efficiencies? I don't have any problem with finding efficiencies. I just would like more proof. And hence, I went to Doge.gov to check on the savings, because there's a savings tab right at the very top. And it says receipts coming over the weekend. It's Monday.
And which weekend? Was that last weekend, the week before?
Well, the weekend is over.
Is that are those receipts also going to have a healthcare plan on there? Or?
Receipts coming over the weekend, says Elon
God.
on Doge.gov, but there's nothing there.
Guys, let's just take the rest of the day off. Jane, it's a holiday anyways. The receipts are coming. We'll be fine.
And I think it's important to remember that Elon can put up anything that he wants.
Yeah.
Because he's not supplying any evidence to back up that this is what he saved. It's just Elon saying, yes, we saved $27 billion.
Well, and that's really part and parcel for the White House that he is working for. They're not about those pesky details, Jane. They're all about those big actions. Unfortunately, people are now realizing that their votes really just ended up sorry, I guess the FCC compliant on this one, but they're finding out that at the end of the day, is not doing them any good.
No, unfortunately, it's not. Very, very excited to have her joining us in studio. Bird on a Wire the woman who is also eternally positive, and she will not give up. Luann Bird joining us in studio now. Good morning, Luann. Thank you so much for driving all the way down here.
Oh, good morning. It's great to be with you all. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
And a lot to do.
Yes, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we really wanted to talk to you, Luann, because people are exhausted, people are frustrated, people are afraid in some instances. And I think some of our natural instinct to do is just, I'm going to curl up in a ball and die. I understand that feeling, but that's not the answer. So before we talk about getting people motivated to get involved, let's talk about what you did regarding the VA and why this is so important to you and your husband.
Well, thank you for starting there. If there's anything I feel like I'm dedicating my life to, it's helping other people learn how to do what I do. So I had heard about the letter that all the federal workers had gotten, and I just, like everybody else, was very alarmed, but didn't pay a lot of attention to it until I was in the VA hospital here in Milwaukee, and I asked. So we go every year for our annual physical. Phil's there a lot. His health has really declined in the last year.
And your husband is a veteran.
And he's a Vietnam veteran,
Yes.
right? Was paralyzed in a construction accident, PTSD related, in 1990. So he's very complicated lately as he gets older. He's 79. And as he ages, the needs are higher for sure. But we have a family at the VA. And, you know, I go toe-to-toe with my doctors once in a while and nurses there, and they know me, but I love them. And
you've been seeing the
same
people for a long
years,
time.
And some of them, well, Dr. Lee has been there for probably 30 years. He's now like the head of the spinal cord department. So these folks have been there a long time. And so when I went in there, I asked the first person I saw, did you get the letter? And she's like, yeah, we did, but I couldn't. And I got a new position, but I can't get the money that goes with it because of the hiring freeze. And she, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then we get into our appointment, and I'm asking my doctor, I'm asking the nurses in there. They all got the letter.
Which said what?
Now, that is the key. Encourage your listeners to Google Fork in the Road and read the letter. Because it was very confusing. It was very alarming to them because they were not sure what all this meant. And these are professionals. These are not, they're professionals.
Right.
All of our civil servants are in their own right, whether they're a social worker, a doctor, or whatever. But the letter said this, like, these are the 4 standards that we're going to live by now as federal workers. And if you choose to stay, it went in that order. If you choose to stay, thank you, but you have to live by these standards, and there will be no guarantee that your job is still going to be there. That's in the letter, and it encourages them to go to the private sector, and then it says the buyout. So if you choose to leave now, we'll buy you out. But if you stay, there's no guarantee your job is going to be here. Now, talk about sending ripples through me and my family.
I bet.
So, of course, the first thing I did was organize, and I let people know, and I sent letters. I wrote a letter to the presidency and sent that off. There is a White House contact that you can at least, actually, the first thing I did was make a phone call. And I had my little grandson in the car, and I'm like, hey, Siri, could you call the White House? And lo and behold, it found a number.
Yeah.
And it found a person. And so my grandson's like, you're not calling the White House,
Grandma,
are
you can't do that.
Grandma?
Just watch me.
Well, that was just the first thing,
Yeah.
And then I sent all kinds of letters. And then I let the press know, and I sent out a press release. There was a wonderful rally for our federal employees on downtown Milwaukee on Valentine's Day to show our love for our federal workers. So I marched on down there and made sure I stood up there with my sign. And
Have you heard from other families of veterans?
yes, I have. And other people that just did not know that this letter affects our veterans. So, my story is like Phil broke his leg. He broke his ankle. He had a stroke a number of years ago, so he needed a lot of physical therapy and occupational therapy. And then now, this broken leg, he needs, well, it's healed now, but he needed the ortho department.
Sure.
And we needed a social worker to help bring some help into the house for me because he can no longer transfer by himself. So he's completely bedbound. So I'm wondering what 20% of all of that do do we need to cut for our veterans? And also, I get a lot of caregiver support as a caregiver, or I wouldn't be able to take care of him. I'm wondering what 20% of that we all have to give up. I just don't think this is the way to go about making government more efficient. I agree that's always a thing, but I think change should happen from the bottom up, not the top down. And that's what I do. I've gone toe-to-toe with them.
More
things.
times than you can
Like,
count,
no,
I'm sure.
that's a waste of time and a waste of money, and it's not working. And the VA also holds town hall meetings all the time for us patients so that we can let them know how things are happening. So this is wrong. What's happening is wrong. And I've got my network, Birds on a Wire, and so many people are stepping up. They're meeting with me every week to talk about actions we can take. How can we turn that passion, like you said, and don't curl up on the couch. Yeah. Just get out there and do something, whether it's write a letter, whether it's make a phone call. So I'm helping people turn that into, and not just, just writing letters and everything, but having an impact. That's the goal here. We really need to make sure that we have democracy. And I hear people say we maybe need to reframe how we talk. I'm not for that. I'm not. I've never been for that.
You're a very straight shooter. I'm not quite sure what people want you to do.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
that was one of the things, too, is after the election, they said, we got to find a way to get along and find our commonality. No, you voted for a party and a guy who wanted to cut, decimate, and hurt us. I don't feel like I need to work too hard to connect with that. I need to find people who want to do the work to make it better. And that's what you're doing right now, Luann. So.
Claire Reed has an article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel about your concern about the VA. We're going to include this in our show notes. You can always find those at civicmedia.us. Click on shows. Go to Matenaer On Air. We're going to continue our conversation with Luann Bird. Join us, 855-752-4842. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Like a bird, free.
morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board. Coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. The number is the same. Call or text 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube and the platform shedding more users than a molting parrot. You can always check in with us.
No pun in.
I'm just trying
No
to
bird.
new
No.
versions.
Oh yeah, bird pun.
Bird
Yeah.
pun. Bird
I
pun.
thought it was.
Yeah. Oh, just make it.
Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly why I did that. Luann Bird is here from Bird on a Wire. And if you're just joining us, before we went to the break, Luann's husband is a Vietnam veteran and has been using the VA for many, many years. And you were very concerned when a lot of federal employees got this fork in the road letter. And it was essentially, we think you should join the private sector. Right. If not, yeah, you can stay, but you're not really guaranteed anything.
Right.
Right.
That was the message.
Yeah, which sounds so warm and makes you feel so good about being an employee. Like, it's great to get that letter.
Well, and I guess, and you would know better than I, Luann, there have been a lot of complaints I've heard about the VA. It is not a perfect institution. There are people have had issues with the VA, but this doesn't seem to be the right way to fix it.
No, most of the issues are around understaffing.
Understaffing.
Doggone.
Yeah.
Or, inefficiencies. That's true, but mostly because they are understaffed and underfunded. You cannot, there's more of a baby boomer population having greater needs, and there's more wars, more people using it and needing it. So, I go back to the issue of maybe people just don't understand. We don't have to reframe things. We have to educate people, because you cannot have democracy without a bureaucracy. And what they're doing right now, a bureaucracy, is the system by which civil servants that are not elected carry out the policymakers' policies that they vote on our behalf. So this idea that we have to just cut the bureaucracy and slash and burn, that's not what we need to do. We can't have democracy if we get rid of bureaucracy. So it's not a bad term. It is just a system. It's a way of organizing things and making sure that those policies that our elected officials, we elect them to do, get carried out through the civil servants. They're not people you can just chop off the block like this.
I think that was great what you just said there, and I think we need to bring that phrase, that term, into our lexicon when it comes to this kind of behavior, which is slash and burn. No forethought on what you're getting rid of. You're just getting rid of things, and then all of a sudden you're left going, what
Whoops.
happened to that thing?
Yeah.
Well, we got rid of it 3 months ago. I didn't know that because we didn't look. I think the more you use slash and burn to describe what the current White House is doing, that has a visceral and meaningful impact to people, because that's just what it is, and we're seeing it across the board. Whether it's the VA, whether it's maybe the IRS, maybe it's the
Our nuclear agencies.
Yeah, so this is not finding inefficiencies. This is slash and burn. That's it.
Elon's coming in with all his 19-year-olds, one of them whose nickname is Big Balls. I can assure you they do not understand how the government actually works. Rosanna from Oshkosh has been very patient waiting on the phone. Good morning, Rosanna. Thank you for joining us. What do you want to say?
Good morning. I just want to applaud Ms. Bird for the work that she's doing, and to say that I have been on the front lines as a veteran in Desert Storm, and I spent 5 years in military service and proudly served my country. I continued my federal work at Fed VA, working in the homeless program, which I understand is on the chopping block right after the Veteran Crisis Line, which was formerly known as the Veteran Suicide Hotline, which I manned probably once every 4 weeks. I am devastated and appalled that we cannot work across party lines to support and protect our combat veterans and some of the most vulnerable programs in the world. It's not a DEI, homeless programs are not just a DEI initiative. They are serving our nation's heroes, and they are on the chopping block next. And I am just shocked and saddened, and I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the work you do at WISS. You guys are my co-pilot.
Oh,
thank you very
Rosanna.
much.
Really
We appreciate your call.
And thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
And I cannot imagine the level of frustration, Rosanna, for you and other veterans when you hear veterans used as props. by our politicians.
Yeah.
And we back the, if it's not back the blue, we back our vets and we do all this.
Yeah.
Except when it comes time to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I want to tag on to what Rosanna said there in that these are unprecedented times. So I wrote a letter to President Musk and I sent it off to the White House and I did copy DJ Trump on it. But,
That was nice of you.
telling him that you can't run America like a business and that, these programs serve veterans. And I said, my husband put his life on the line for our country once. And now it feels like it's happening again, only not coming in from the enemy. It's coming from you.
Wow.
You are putting my husband's life on the line right now by cutting all those programs that are keeping him alive at the VA and including what Roseanne's doing out there for homeless veterans. Everybody says, oh, we want to support veterans, but then do it with your dollars, do it with your voices. Anyone listening, please call your legislators and tell them to stand up. Stand up. Republicans, stand up to this. This is not what America is.
Cassandra on the live stream says, Luann, I just signed up for your newsletter. You're such a beacon of positivity. Thank you for your work and thank your husband for his service. My dad was a Vietnam veteran as well. Thank you for that, Cassandra. Thank you, Luann Bird. She is our role model. Luann and Jean from Eau Claire. We can all do something.
Yes.
That's
we can
right.
all do
That's right.
something. And we will have this article about Luann in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel in our show notes, so make sure you check that out. We have news coming up next when we return. Elon and you, Elon and us. That's all on the way. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube and what used to be Twitter. Coming up this hour after the 11:30 news, Linda Welsh is going to join us. She is the executive director for Sharp Literacy, and they have a special Waukesha Unwrapped event coming up this coming weekend. It's a way to help support their mission, so we will learn about what is their mission, Sharp Literacy, and how you can help by having some tasty treats. This weekend.
All those treats.
All those treats. So stick around for that. Also, just a reminder, the Brewers spring training schedule kicks off this weekend. Greg Bach, are you very excited?
I'm so excited.
He's very excited. Brewers taking on the Cincinnati Reds on Saturday at 2 p.m. You can catch the game on several of our Civic Media Brewers affiliates, including WRCE in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh, and WBZH in Hayward. Brewers spring training this Saturday, 2 p.m. as the crew takes on the Reds. Let's talk about the IRS, Elon, and you.
I should have had like some 70s science music, like bloop, 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 bloop. Elon and you.
Elon and you. This headline from the Washington Post: Musk's Doge seeks access to personal taxpayer data, raising alarm at the IRS. This unusual request could put sensitive data about millions of American taxpayers into the hand of Trump appointees. This should make everybody go, what?
Yeah, this is
why
worrisome to the nth degree.
Should Elon Musk have access to all of our personal tax information and our social security numbers and all of that stuff?
I don't think so.
Elon Musk's Doge is seeking access to a heavily guarded IRS system that includes detailed financial information about every taxpayer, business, and nonprofit in the U.S. Under pressure from Trump's White House, the IRS considering a memorandum of understanding that would give officials from Doge broad access to tax agency systems, property, and data sets. Among them is a retrieval system that allows tax agency employees to access IRS accounts, including personal ID numbers and bank information. I don't know, call me crazy, folks, and overly sensitive, but I don't want Elon Musk having my personal banking information. I just don't trust him.
I don't want Elon. I don't want his bronians or minions or whatever they're being called now. Brainians. Like, I don't even know what to say to this. This is like a bad movie.
Imagine if this were a Democratic administration.
Oh,
just imagine.
Jane, we have to take several steps back before we can even propose the idea of a Democrat bringing in an unelected car manufacturer into the White House to say, hey, I need to slash and burn your entire government. And oh, by the way, while I'm here, the IRS is just down the street. Okay, can I look at everyone's information? That's like 30 paces backwards before they get laughed out of the building, because anytime the Democrats try to propose anything that helps cut bureaucracy, cut red tape, invest. Oh my God, it's a communist plot to take over our freedoms.
Andrew from Maine, listening on WAUK, says Doge, or Doogie, I believe that's what Todd Alba calls it, is not about efficiency. It's about cutting government effectiveness and investigations. This is so important, Andrew. Thank you for bringing this up. Elon Musk used Trump's election to get his own companies out of trouble. Yes. All those inspectors general that Trump fired his first day in office, at least 4 of them were investigating Elon's companies for not doing things, I don't know, ethically or legally. And then they fired them all. One wonders.
It only took, what, $240 million? But That was an investment for Elon to get in the White House. I mean, really, that's what it was. It's about going on there, rooting out all of those problems for him. And now we're also saying things like, they're putting pressure on the Justice Department is pushing pressure in New York to drop the case against Eric Adams because that's not a big thing either. And it's all of these individuals who should be on trial or at the very least have their contracts cut. Everything's fine now.
Remember Rod Blagojevich from Illinois, who actually
Democrat, by the way.
Yes, Democrat, who is on tape.
Yeah.
Trying to sell an Illinois Senate seat.
Yeah.
Got sentenced to prison for it. Guess who pardoned him?
Donald Trump.
Yes, he did. And now, from what I have read, he is considering making him an ambassador.
To where?
I don't know, somewhere with lots of money. Yeah, there's no quid pro quos here at all.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is a bad movie come to light, come to be made, happening right in front of us. And we said it early in the first hour, and I'm going to keep saying it for everything we do. Make it make sense, but bring the receipts, show your work, because everything that's happening right now seems like a nefarious plan to literally take over the country.
And take over all our personal data.
Yep.
I go back to when the COVID vaccines first came out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take that shot because who was it that was putting a microchip?
Bill Gates.
Oh, Bill Gates was putting a microchip in the COVID vaccine to get all of our information or make us automatons or something.
Jane, I heard about that. Hold on while I make a phone call on my smartphone and talk to people. They'll never find us.
I'm still pissed I'm not magnetic. I was promised I would become magnetic if I got vaccinated against COVID, and I'm still not. I think it's important to point out Elon, this unelected person who is now co-president, if not essentially president, brilliant man. So smart, Greg.
I can't even get on the sarcasm with that statement.
Except for this, Doge's hastily launched website has already been hacked.
Yeah, like...
This is from Friday.
Real quick.
Doge's website launch got off to a rocky start after 2 pages on the site were completely defaced. So we have the most highly competent people in charge of this.
Jane, what have we been saying since last year? Nothing but the best people.
All the best people.
All the best people.
All the best people.
All of them.
I encourage you to go to this website. It's doge.gov.
D-O-G-E.
D-O-G-E. Okay.
Doge.
I bet D-O-J-E will probably get you there, too.
Doge.
Doge. Go to doge.gov, D-O-G-E.gov. They've got some tabs at the top. Savings, workforce, regulations, join, about. Under the savings tab, Greg.
Yeah.
Where Elon is supposed to be showing all his work.
Yes.
Like you say, show your work.
Show your work.
On all of the money he has saved American taxpayers by what he's done since January 20th. You know what? There's nothing on here. It says receipts coming over the weekend. It's Monday.
You're telling me that this guy who's found squillions upon squillions of dollars in fraud, misused funding, and just wasteful spending, he hasn't provided a single receipt?
Not a one.
Boy, that hasn't kept people from being on social media talking about how there's $85 million at Elon Musk. And actually, I wish I would have screenshot this and brought it to the table. I saw a brilliant tweet that said simply, all right, you found all this money that's being misappropriated, fraudulent spending. Where are the lawsuits? Why aren't you immediately going to the DOJ and talking to the Attorney General and saying, file lawsuits against these individuals because they have been misappropriating funds and fraudulently spending? You're not, though. You're not. You're just sitting there on your stupid little website saying, well, I found some stuff that's wrong with the things of me. I'm Elon Musk. I'm dark makeup.
He's so smart. He's the smartest.
I make boxy cards.
Dave from New Berlin texting in, why isn't anyone complaining about Trump going to NASCAR? Dave, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
From the independent.com, Trump takes taxpayer-funded Daytona 500 joyride at rained-out race as he guts federal workforce. It is estimated that his little trip to NASCAR yesterday cost $5 million.
Yes. Pat actually talked about that this morning when he went to the Super Bowl as well.
Yes.
Whenever he shows up at one of these events, we are going to pay between $3 to $5 million in our money, when it's not being siphoned off for private schooling, it's being sent to the president so he can go race around the racetrack like a big boy.
Well, he needs his adoration.
Yes, no, and
he needs like his weekly dose of fawning crowds, or otherwise he feels bad.
He really does. That's not me. Like, I know you're being funny with this, but I really think it's a condition with him. He has to. He was the only president, I think, in history who campaigned and did rallies while in office within the first 2 years. He was always off to some place, glad handing and getting his flowers from the people who loved him no matter what he did. What. This is something he needs. He needs to be loved. And the funny thing is these individuals in this video watching his limousine race down the road, which, by the way, has to be a security problem. I'm sorry. Those individuals in those stands who paid so much money to see the Daytona 500, these policies and the slash and burn technology they're implementing is going to affect them first. These are regular, salt of the earth, hardworking Americans who think a hard work day gives you a good paycheck that provides for your family. They're the ones that this is going to affect.
I just don't want to hear anyone complaining about, aren't you happy about all these savings? Aren't you happy that we're finding all this money? Yet not when we're shelling out $5 million so he can go get an ego boost at NASCAR. That seems to me to be counter purposes.
But I will say, I think for the most part, I think him going to the is a bit of a distraction, because it's still, we need to keep our focus on this.
Well, we're going to continue this.
Yeah.
On the other side, if you would like to join us, 855-752-4842. Elon, the IRS, and you. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Caliente on the board. Coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. It's the same number, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube and Twitter. We are not on the other one today for whatever reason. So if you're looking for us on Facebook, yep, we're not there. Go to YouTube and Twitter if you would like to watch the live stream. Right before the break, we were talking about the IRS, Elon, and you, or the IRS, Elon, and us. Of course, Elon Musk, his Doge, wants access to a heavily guarded IRS system that includes detailed financial information about every taxpayer, business, and nonprofit in the country. This makes me twitchy. I think that seems bad.
Yeah.
Especially when we look at some of Doge's actions, most recent actions, including from CBS News, Trump administration fires and then tries to rehire nuclear weapons workers in Doge reversal. Yeah. Last Thursday, a number of probationary employees of the National Nuclear Security Administration were fired. This is the entity within the department that manages our nuclear weapons stockpile. 3 officials told the AP up to 350 employees got abruptly laid off. They were cut off to their emails even before they found out they were fired. Tried to get into their offices Friday morning, finding out they had been locked out. The hundreds let go were part of a Doge purge across the Department of Energy. Unfortunately, when you bring in 19 and 21 and 22-year-olds who don't understand civics or the basic makeup of our government, and all they're looking at are numbers and going, well, they have 2,000 employees there. Let's X that out.
Yeah.
We have 3,000 employees here. Let's X that out. They don't even know what these people do.
Yeah.
They don't even know what these people are responsible for. Daryl Kimball, the executive director of the Arms Control Association, says the Doge people are coming in with absolutely no knowledge of what these departments are responsible for. They don't seem to realize it's actually the Department of Nuclear Weapons more than it is the Department of Energy. So they fired all these people and then found out, oh no, they're in charge of keeping an eye on our nuclear arsenal. Quick, hire them back.
What was the name of that one dude? What was his nickname?
Oh, Big Balls. One of the 19-year-olds that's working for Elon, is his nickname online is Big Balls. I know that makes me sleep so much better.
Oh my God. I just imagine just yelling down the hall, hey, Big Balls, did you fire that guy? We shouldn't have. It's just, that's what we're hearing up and down the hallways now. We're hearing all of that stuff. It sounds like to me like a dorm now. That's what's happening at Doge.
Steve from Milwaukee, the whole Doge thing is just a sham. Hey, let's make a new department designed to attack other departments and without any regulations. Yeah, that's going to work. And Mark from Prairie du Sac, Doge is after info on Musk's competitors. Absolutely, Mark. You hit the nail on the head right there. And as you may have gleaned from Calvin's intro music, that bumper music, as we were coming back from the break, we just wanted to point out what's really concerning Wisconsin Republicans in the midst of all of this. Where's their attention? Guess what? They want whole milk back in schools. H.R. 649 has been approved by the House Education and Workforce Committee, including Glenn Grothman.
We haven't talked about him in a while.
And Representative Glenn Thompson, a Republican from Pennsylvania. This also has scores of co-sponsors in order to bring back whole milk into our schools. We're not going to get into that too deep at this point. I love whole milk personally.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about what's important to constituents, I would think that's pretty low on the list.
This qualifies definitely as a distraction, but this is what we've come to learn with our Wisconsin legislators. Now, of course, this is a national legislation. This is coming from a congressman, but they're not looking at what actually is concerning the people of Wisconsin. They are looking at what is just fodder,
Yes.
easy stories,
Yes.
easy headlines,
Yes.
get on TV and get on radio and talk. I mean, we're talking about it right now. But this is a distraction from the problems at hand.
For reporters who might be listening, please call Glenn Grothman, claim it's about this, and then ask him about how he feels about Elon Musk having all of our personal tax information and all of our bank account information.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit more concerning than getting whole milk back in schools. 855-752-4842. Robert from West Dallas is on the line. Good morning, Robert. Thank you for joining us. What did you want to say about this?
Good morning. Yes, I mean, this guy couldn't run a car company for 10 years. His cars were always late. There wasn't enough supply. He couldn't manage to do that. But yeah, let's put him in charge of the whole government. We've already seen airplanes fall out of the sky. You know, wait until it starts impacting your food supply and your medical devices. That's going to be the next area they go after. And it's going to be, oh, how did this happen? What concerns me the most is the Democratic Party. Why is there 100 lawsuits? There should be 1,000 lawsuits right now. They're breaking the law all over the place. And all I seem to get is raising emails. Send us your money. And the so-called gurus, the Axelrods and the Carvilles and the Rahm Emanuel types, their whole answer is, well, we got to go more to the right. Well, that's not really working out for us, guys, right? That brought us NAFTA. They brought us, basically the road to hell is going more to the right, the third way group, the Joe Scarborough crowd. That's not what we need to do. We need these people to fight, not send out fundraising emails and give speeches. We need lawsuits.
That's a great point, Robert. Really appreciate it. That we're going to have Representative Mark Pocan on the show tomorrow, and we can ask him about that.
Yep.
Because a lot of Democrats, like you, are ticked off and disgusted and highly annoyed.
Yeah.
News is coming up next. We're going to lighten it up for the last half hour and wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Take a whiff of this edition. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
How could they know just what this message means? The end of my hopes, the end of all my dreams. How could they know a palace there had been behind the door where my love reigned as queen? No milk today, it wasn't always so. The company was gay, we turned night into day. But all that's left is a place dark and lonely, a terraced house in a mean street back of town. All that's left is a place dark and lonely, a terraced house in a mean street.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our resident young person, Calvin, on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube and what used to be Twitter. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll wrap up the show, as we always do, with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it is the Take a Whiff of This edition. If you ever have a thing you think should not be, send it in to Greg and me at janesays@civicmedia.us. JANESAYS, Jane Says @civicmedia.us. Please use that same email. If you have a guest you think we should have on, if there is something going on in your community, wherever you are across the state, doesn't matter, we are statewide, and you would like some attention on that, let us know about it. Please contact us at janesays@civicmedia.us. Yes, I do read each and every one of them. Excited to have her joining us on the phone today so we can learn more about this event. Linda Welsh is the president and CEO of Sharp Literacy, and we're talking about Unwrapped Waukesha 2025, which is going to happen this Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park. Good morning, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Linda, for people who are not familiar with Sharp Literacy, can you tell us what it is exactly that your organization does?
Sure. Well, we've been around almost 29 years, but our mission is to partner with educators to foster a love of learning and brighten children's futures through our innovative, hands-on, STEAM-based programming. So we're in 46 schools this academic year, and we're in Milwaukee Public Schools, we're in charter schools and choice schools and school districts of Waukesha, and even a few schools in Racine, all urban schools, and we're K-3 through 5th grade.
I'm sure you are aware of our reading scores among our kids, and it certainly seems like today Sharp Literacy is needed more than ever.
Yes, we really are, and you know, especially with them learning all about STEM, and STEM is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So it's really that they're learning, you know, our 3rd graders are doing design video games, our 4th graders are coding and doing prototypes and microbits, and 5th graders are doing all types of engineering and just really stuff that's going to really help them in the future. And even our younger lower elementary, which is K-3 through 2nd grade, are learning all types of STEAM principles. And the great thing about our program is we bring it into the classrooms during the academic day, and we're really one of the, I think, the only nonprofit that is allowed in during the school year. So we bring our educators in there, and then they facilitate the programming and workshops. So it's just a really awesome program that really does make a difference in the lives of these children.
And obviously, these public schools are seeing a need for this. They have enough challenges the way that it is, trying to do their programs and things like that. So I'm sure this is an extra help for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And while the classroom teachers are very engaged in our program, it's really nice for the students to be able to, you know, have somebody that comes, you know, into their classroom and they get really, really excited. It's a sharp day, and it just really energizes them. We want to spark a curiosity and a love of learning. So if they enjoy what they're doing, you know, they're gonna go home and want to learn more. And we have so many great partnerships with a lot of the tech schools and MSOE and many of our donors, Milwaukee Brewers and Fiserv and Brewers Community Foundation, and that's why I think we're so successful, is really the partners, because everybody cares, and everybody wants kids that, you know, they want them to be educated so that they can, you know, stay in Wisconsin and you know, have starting that talent, you know, pipeline early on.
The whole idea of teaching 3rd and 4th graders coding, I think, is just brilliant to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
We're even doing AI. We piloted AI and art with MyAd over this past summer, and we're going to do it again. So, you know, I mean, I think people sometimes get scared of AI, but it's it's the future and it's here. So the more that we can help our kids at a young age learn the right way to do it and fun things you can do with it, and you can learn. So we're blessed with a program that really does energize our kids.
One of the things, Linda, you were talking about as far as the STEM program is the arts and the music, which I think is very important in modern day classes, because you see art and music being cut or defunded. What does Sharp Literacy do working with them to enhance the art and music side of the learning experience?
Sure. Well, we don't do much with music, and the M is actually math. But when we started in 1996, it was really all about the art.
Yeah.
And it's really, like you said, it's really, really important. And our kids, I'm a visual learner, so if they can see it and they can touch it and they can, do really, and it's so much more than just like arts and crafts. It's actually art that, for example, our second grade curriculum is all about weather, water, the environment. So the kids do a really creative activity with the water cycle and salmon, and we do pollination in our first grade, bees and pollination in communities. So everything they're doing is tying back to what their curriculum. Plus we have educational tour experiences for all of our grade levels. So second grade, they go to Discovery World. So everything that they're learning in the classroom is really being comes to life at Discovery World, where they see a salmon, they see the water cycle. We go to the domes for first grade. We work with Milwaukee Art Museum and Discovery World and Urban Ecology Center and Linden Sculpture Gardens and METC and WCTC and Quad. So these kids are getting great experience.
Yes.
Again, reinforces what they're learning in the classroom, outside of the classroom. And we bring our program into the classrooms, into the schools at no charge to the schools. So as things continue to get cut, we hear it all the time, and that's a bonus. And we're so thankful for our donors that allow us to be able to continue with our mission and not have to charge schools, because again, there's not a lot of money schools have right now.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room for our public schools. If you're just joining us, Linda Welsh is our guest. She's the president and CEO of Sharp Literacy. And you led me right to the next point, Linda. Well done. About Unwrapped Waukesha 2025. So if you would like to help support Sharp Literacy and its mission in our public schools, tell us about Unwrapped Waukesha and what wonderful eats are going to be there, Linda.
Yes, this is it's hard to believe, our fourth annual Unwrapped Waukesha. And as you mentioned, it's at the Wisconsin Brewing Company Park, which is the home of the Dock Hounds, Lake Country Dock Hounds, out in Oconomowoc on February 23rd, 1 to 4. And we have just some spectacular restaurants and chefs. We have Bryant's on the Round, Lee Christensen. We have the Commodore, Jesse Kliski. We have Daybreak, Morgan the Butcher, Perry, Dock Hounds Hospitality, Sergio Hernandez, Proof Ice Cream, Frank Caruso, Rise and Shine Cafe, Maxwell LeClaire, and Saz's Hospitality Group, Dustin Howard. And I'll read you a couple of the dishes. And what the chefs start to do is they use their creativity to create some really fantastic dishes using McDonald's ingredients, which is amazing. When I mention, I'll give you a couple of the recipes. So one, we're doing Bella Gusto, which is Brett Huggins, sweet Oreo crumble stuffed cannoli with sweet whipped cream topping.
Now you should see Greg's face. You are killing us with that one, Linda. That sounds so good.
This one. So Brian's on the Round. Lee Christensen is doing a crispy Filet-O-Fish wontons with Asian dressing, wasabi and creamy Napa cabbage slaw. In the Commodore, Jesse's doing a nostalgic beef Wellington, mushrooms deluxe, and a puffed pastry and Big Mac juice. And then Doc Hounds, they're doing a rustic Italian sausage mini meatloaf topped with sautéed mushroom and savory gravy. Proof is doing this, so it's familiar with Proof. It's the ice cream with a little bit of liquor in it. And they're doing an old-fashioned flavored caramel ice cream with decadent caramel drizzle and chocolate chip cookie. Yeah, it's just, and Chef, actually, the Rise and Shine out here in Oconomowoc, they're doing a shamrock shake pancake bites with luscious mocha drizzle whipped cream. And then our friends at Spaz's, Chef Dustin is doing a savory McChicken croquette wrapped in a crispy hash browns with spicy remoulade.
That all sounds so good, Linda.
Do you need judges, taste testers, people who just need to make sure their food's hot? Anything?
Come on. Yeah, come on down. It's going to be a good time. So in addition to being able to try all the different dishes, we have a great silent auction. We have 50/50. We have a gift card tree. And it's kid-friendly, where the kids, bring your kids. It's a Sunday afternoon. There's really nothing going on. Baseball hasn't started yet.
Right.
Football's over.
Right.
Bucks are off. Yeah, so kid-friendly, where we're going to have all types of different activities, some art activities, and they get to make their own sundae, not with the Proof ice cream, but with regular ice cream. So the parents can have a good time and have one of our beers, a specialty beer that Lake Louis Brewing came up with us, and that's actually called Ale Intelligence. It's and it's called AI. How fun is that? Yeah. So. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Linda,
I know.
the event is this Sunday. It's from 1 to 4, again, at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park in Oconomowoc. How do folks get tickets, and how much are tickets if they want to have a nice food coma on Sunday afternoon? Because it all sounds so good.
A beverage, too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's $75 per person. And the best way to register is at sharpliteracy.org. And the top of our homepage has Unwrapped Waukesha. Click it there, and it's very, very easy to purchase a ticket. Or if you are deciding at the last minute and you want to pay at the door, we can do that. And if you can't make it, but you still want to support Sharp and our mission, you can go on our website again, sharpliteracy.org, and donate. And we always are looking for volunteers.
I'm sure you are. We will put all your contact info for Sharp Literacy in our show notes, Linda. Check it out. It's this Sunday. And as you said, Linda, there's no baseball. There's no football right now. There's just food. There's just food. So plan to go to
comfort food, too.
Exactly. Plan to go to Unwrapped Waukesha this Sunday, 1 to 4 o'clock at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park in Oconomowoc. Linda Welsh is the president and CEO of Sharp Literacy. Thank you so much, Linda. Have a couple snacks for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a great day. Coming up, when we return, we'll wrap it all up as we usually do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the Take a Whiff of This edition. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the vast, statewide, countrywide. If you're overseas, you can listen on the app. So we're global, baby.
Global.
Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calviente on the board. Coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up on the show tomorrow, Representative Mark Pocan will be here coming up after the 10:30 news. Love to find out what they're hearing from constituents.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of Democrats who are very frustrated by what seems to be the lack of action on the part of their democratically elected representatives when it comes to pushing back against this second Trump administration. So Mark Pocan will be joining us in hour number 1 tomorrow. James Vanderloo, very looking forward to having him back. He owns a business in Wisconsin, does a lot of imports and exports. We're going to talk tariffs with James Vanderloo.
Yeah.
And what he's hearing from his clients and how much concern there is about these promised tariffs that Donald Trump has said he will enact. So that is coming your way tomorrow. Don't forget, Todd Alba takes over after our show right after the noon news from noon to 2 p.m. Todd Alba, and he will have What's Worse in hour number 2. It's great. It's a little more lighthearted like we like to do.
Yes.
Take a break. Audio sorbet, as we call it. Little cleansing breath. So make sure you join Todd.
Darn it, I tried.
For his show from noon to 2 today. Followed by Maggie Dawn, 2 to 4. Dom Salvia, 4 to 6. Pete Schwaba, 6 to 8 p.m. Robert Pilot and Native Roots Radio. And much, much more. And then Pat Kreitlow is back with Up North News Radio, 6 to 8 a.m. Earl Ingram starts right before we do, 8 to 10. Here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We got Pete Schwaba coming on the show this week.
Pete Schwaba is going to be with us on Friday.
Yeah, baby.
So join us for that. Right now, Calvin, just about 11:54. That means it's time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
This from the Associated Press. The headline reads, researchers took a whiff of Egyptian mummies for science. They were surprised by the pleasantness of them. Headline London, at first whiff, it sounds repulsive, sniff the essence of an ancient corpse. But researchers who indulged their curiosity in the name of science found that well-preserved Egyptian mummies actually smell pretty good. Cecilia Bembribre, director of research at University College London's Institute, says in films and books, terrible things happen to those who come in connection with mummified bodies.
Yeah.
We were surprised at the pleasantness of them. Woody, spicy, and sweet are the leading descriptors from what sounds more like a wine tasting than a mummy sniffing exercise.
Exactly.
Some floral notes were also detected, which could be from pine and juniper resins that were used in embalming the mummies. The study was published in the Journal of the American Chemical Society, using both chemical analysis and a panel of human sniffers to evaluate odors from 9 different mummies, one as old as 5,000 years old. The researchers wanted to study the smell of mummies. It's long been a subject of fascination for the public and researchers alike. Archaeologists, historians, and conservators have devoted pages of their work to the subject. Scent, an important consideration in the mummification process, using oils, waxes, and balms in order to preserve the body.
The jokes are just a bubble in Jane. First of all, the human sniffers were just the most pretentious. They were like, I'm getting hints of juniper. And
I have a very sensitive nose.
I'm getting a good sand.
A chemistry professor from the University of Ljubljana.
You just tried that, didn't you?
I just said it really fast, hoping no one would notice. We were quite worried we would find notes of or hints of decaying bodies. That was not the case. We were specifically worried there might be indicators of microbial degradation. That was not the case. That means the environment in the museum where the mummies were stored was actually good in terms of preservation. He continued, this tells us potentially what social class a mummy was from.
Yes.
And reveals a lot about the mummified body, relevant not just to conservators, but to curators and archaeologists.
Can I do my, by the way, this is one of those Tisbats where I'm learning
you didn't know what it was.
I'm learning all this right now.
Yes.
Can I do my fun pun joke?
Sure.
Hey, folks, if you're going to smell a mummy, make sure you get consent.
Yes.
Consent.
Consent.
You know what? All right, I'm out of here. This place. Get Lou Ann Bird in here. She's your new co-host.
I guess we can all sleep better knowing that they do. Are you telling me that all these researchers who have been researching mummies for all this time never got a whiff of anything up until now?
Well, it sounds like they got really deep in it. Like
taking it to a new level, as it were.
And there's some guy like 30 years ago going, I've been telling you this the whole time.
I'm just waiting for the perfume.
Exactly. And the idea that a pharaoh wasn't like, what curse do you want if they invade your castle? None, just make them smell nice.
Woody, spicy, and sweet. Ode mame.
Oh.
Huh?
Don't be funnier than me.
That wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and all of our engineers. Without you guys, nothing works. And thank you, most of all, for calling and texting and listening. It absolutely means the world. I hope you find some joy today, even if it's just a little bit, and you have the chance to share it. Keep it here. News is next on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.